The grand hall of Viridian Station sparkled with lights from 1,000 worlds. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting rainbow colors across the polished floor. Delegates from dozens of alien species mingled together, their voices creating a gentle hum of conversation. Servers moved between the guests, offering drinks and food from across the galaxy. Kate Morrison stood near the refreshment table, her blue dress flowing around her ankles. She smiled politely as a Vrelian dignitary explained something about trade routes, though her mind wandered. Her eyes searched the crowd until they found him, Ryan, her husband, standing quietly in a corner. He held a glass of water and watched the crowd with that gentle expression she loved so much. Ryan Blake looked completely ordinary among the colorful aliens and decorated human officials. He wore a simple gray suit, his brown hair neatly combed, his posture relaxed. Nothing about him suggested anything special. He was just a logistics coordinator, a man who helped organize shipments and manage supply schedules. He did his job well and went home every evening to read books and cook dinner with his wife. Kate excused herself from the Vrelian and made her way across the room. Ryan saw her coming and his face brightened with a genuine smile. That smile always made her heart warm. "Having fun?" he asked quietly as she reached him. "Not really," Kate admitted. "Dr. Quinn is somewhere arguing about protein structures with a Xandrian scientist. I think I've exhausted my small talk abilities for the evening." Ryan chuckled softly. "We can leave soon if you want. I think we've shown our faces long enough." Before Kate could respond, a loud voice boomed across the nearby area. "Humans, always lurking in corners like timid creatures." They both turned to see Ambassador Thelrax approaching. The Korthian stood nearly 7 feet tall, his scaled skin gleaming bronze under the lights. He wore elaborate armor decorated with medals and ribbons from countless battles, his reptilian eyes fixed on Ryan with obvious contempt. "Ambassador?" Ryan said with a polite nod. "Good evening, is it?" Thelrax moved closer, and other guests began to notice the interaction. Several turned to watch. "I was just telling the Vrelian commander about the old days, when species proved their worth through strength and honor. Your people, human, have grown soft in your comfort." Kate felt her jaw tighten. "That's not fair, Ambassador. Humanity has contributed significantly to the Galactic Council. Our technology, our medical advances." "Technology," Thelrax interrupted with a dismissive wave. "Yes, you build clever devices. You solve equations. But where are your warriors? Where is the fire that once drove humanity to conquer your own violent world?" He leaned closer. "You have become merchants and scientists. Useful perhaps, but hardly worthy of respect." Other aliens were definitely watching now. Kate saw a few humans in the crowd looking uncomfortable. She opened her mouth to argue, but Ryan gently touched her elbow. "Ambassador Thelrax," Ryan said, his voice calm and even. "I think perhaps each species defines strength differently. What looks like softness to you might simply be a different kind of power." The Korthian laughed, a harsh sound, spoken like someone who has never held a blade. "Tell me, logistics coordinator, have you ever fought for anything in your life?" Ryan's expression didn't change. He took a sip of water and shrugged slightly. "I fought with shipping manifests and supply chain problems." "Does that count?" A few nearby aliens chuckled. Thelrax's eyes narrowed, clearly annoyed that Ryan wouldn't rise to the bait. "You make jokes because you have no real answer," the ambassador said. "Humanity's age of warriors is dead. You are children playing in the safe galaxy that stronger species have secured for you." "Perhaps," Ryan said simply. He turned to Kate. "Shall we go home? I was thinking of making that pasta you like." Kate stared at her husband, frustration building in her chest. How could he be so calm? So passive. Thelrax was insulting their entire species and Ryan acted like it was nothing, but she nodded. "Sure, let's go." They excused themselves and left the reception. As they walked through the station's corridors toward their quarters, Kate remained silent. Ryan seemed content with the quiet, his hands in his pockets, his steps unhurried. Finally, Kate couldn't hold it anymore. "Doesn't it bother you?" What Thelrax said. "How he talked about humanity. About you." Ryan considered this as they entered a transport lift. "Not really. He's entitled to his opinions. But they're wrong," Kate insisted. "Humans aren't weak. We've survived so much, climate disasters, wars, diseases. We're tougher than they think." "I know," Ryan said gently. The lift doors opened and they walked down the corridor to their quarters. "But Kate, what would arguing accomplish?" Thelrax believes what he believes. Me getting angry wouldn't change his mind. They entered their home, a modest 2-room apartment with a small kitchen and living area. Kate had decorated it with plants from Earth and paintings of landscapes. Ryan had contributed a large bookshelf filled with old paper books, real ones from Earth, not digital copies. Kate kicked off her shoes and flopped onto the couch. I just wish people saw humans differently. Saw us as more than just clever engineers. Ryan sat beside her, draping an arm around her shoulders. Do you remember that old saying? The quietest person in the room is often the most dangerous. Kate looked at him. What's that supposed to mean? He kissed her forehead. Just that appearances can be deceiving. People see what they want to see, and sometimes it's better to let them. Kate didn't really understand, but Ryan's calm presence soothed her irritation. This was one of the reasons she loved him. While she got worked up over things, Ryan remained peaceful. He never yelled, never got into fights, never showed anger. After 2 years of marriage, she couldn't remember him ever raising his voice. Ryan stood and moved to the kitchen. Hungry? I can make something quick. Not really, Kate said. I think I'll just take a shower and go to bed. Okay, I'll be up in a bit. Want to finish a chapter of my book? Kate showered and changed into comfortable clothes. When she came out, Ryan had settled into his favorite chair with one of his ancient books. She noticed he was reading something in another language. Japanese. She thought, though she wasn't sure. Good night, she said, kissing his cheek. Good night, love. Kate went to the bedroom, but she didn't fall asleep immediately. Her mind kept replaying the scene at the reception. Thelrax's mocking tone, the way other aliens had watched, some agreeing with him, the feeling that humanity was seen as weak, as lesser. In the living room, Ryan read for another hour before marking his page and setting the book aside. He stood and stretched, then walked to his small study. Really just a corner of the bedroom partitioned off with a screen. Kate was asleep now, her breathing deep and even. Ryan moved quietly to the wall of his study where a sealed case hung. Inside was a sword, its blade catching the dim light. The handle was wrapped in dark leather, and strange symbols were etched along the blade's length. Ryan stood before it for a long moment, his expression unreadable. He reached out and touched the glass of the case gently, almost reverently. The sword had been sealed there for 3 years since before he met Kate. He'd hoped it would stay sealed forever. Not yet, he whispered to himself. Hopefully never. But something in his eyes suggested he didn't really believe that. Ryan turned away from the case and prepared for bed. He slipped in beside Kate, careful not to wake her. She shifted slightly, moving closer to him in her sleep. He wrapped an arm around her and closed his eyes. The next morning started like any other. Ryan woke first and made coffee. Kate emerged from the bedroom looking half awake, her hair messy. She mumbled something that might have been good morning and accepted the coffee mug gratefully. Big day? Ryan asked, starting breakfast. Lab work, mostly, Kate said, sipping her coffee. Dr. Quinn and I are analyzing some tissue samples from a Zentari patient, trying to figure out why their immune system reacted badly to a standard vaccine. Sounds complicated. It is. Kate smiled. Your day? Inventory reports. Schedule adjustments. The usual excitement of logistics. Ryan set a plate of toast and eggs in front of her. Though I think I need to argue with procurement about the delays in medical supplies again. They ate together, talking about nothing important. It was comfortable, familiar. This was their life, work, home, quiet evenings together. Simple and peaceful. Kate left first, heading to the medical research wing of the station. Ryan cleaned up and left for his own office an hour later. He walked through the station's busy corridors, nodding to people he passed. Most didn't pay him much attention. He was just another human worker, one of thousands on the station. His office was small and organized. 3 computer screens displayed shipping schedules, inventory databases, and station maps. Ryan settled into his chair and started working through the day's tasks. Messages came in from various departments asking about supplies or reporting delays. He answered each one patiently and thoroughly. Lunch came and went. Ryan ate at his desk, reviewing a particularly confusing shipping manifest. In the afternoon, he had a virtual meeting with suppliers from a mining colony. They argued about delivery dates and quantities. Ryan remained calm throughout, finding compromises that satisfied everyone. It was boring, routine work. Exactly the kind of life Ryan had chosen. At the end of his shift, he stopped by the medical wing to meet The alarm screamed through their apartment at 3 in the morning. Kate jolted awake, her heart pounding. Red emergency lights flashed through the window from the corridor outside. Ryan was already sitting up, completely alert despite being asleep seconds ago. "What's happening?" Kate asked, reaching for her comm device on the nightstand. Before Ryan could answer, the station's automated announcement system blared to life. "Security breach in diplomatic wing. All personnel evacuate to designated safe zones. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Ryan was out of bed and pulling on clothes with quick, efficient movements. Kate noticed his hands weren't shaking at all, while hers trembled as she tried to fasten her pants. "We should get to the evacuation point," Kate said, grabbing a jacket. "You should," Ryan said. He was pulling on shoes now, his face calm but focused in a way Kate had never seen before. "I need to check something first." "Check what?" "Ryan, we need to go now." He looked at her then, and something in his eyes made her stop talking. It wasn't fear or panic. It was something else, something cold and calculating. "Go to shelter point 7, he said firmly. "I'll meet you there soon." "I'm not leaving without you." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Kate!" Another announcement interrupted them. Multiple hostiles in medical wing. Security requesting immediate backup. Casualties reported. Kate's blood went cold. "That's where I work. That's where my lab is. Dr. Quinn might be there. She mentioned working late tonight." She grabbed her comm device and tried calling Nia Quinn. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. "I have to go check on her," Kate said, heading for the door. Ryan caught her arm. "Absolutely not. You're going to the shelter. My friend might be hurt, and you running into danger won't help her." Ryan's voice was harder than Kate had ever heard it. "Promise me you'll go to the shelter." Kate had never seen her husband like this, so commanding, so serious. She wanted to argue, but something told her this wasn't the time. "Fine," she said, "but you be careful too." Ryan nodded and released her arm. Kate hurried out of their apartment and joined the stream of people moving through the corridors toward the nearest shelter. Families with children, elderly aliens, station workers, all moving quickly but not panicking. Viridian Station had regular evacuation drills. As Kate moved with the crowd, she glanced back once. Ryan was gone, disappeared into their apartment. She felt a twist of worry in her stomach but forced herself to keep moving. In the diplomatic wing, chaos ruled. Bodies of station security guards lay on the floor, their weapons scattered beside them. 12 figures in black combat armor moved through the corridors, weapons raised. They wore masks that covered their faces completely, showing no features. These were the Crimson Void, though no one knew that name yet. They were Korthian extremists who believed their species should rule the galaxy. They saw the Galactic Council as weak, corrupted by peaceful species like humans. Tonight was their message to the universe. They had planned carefully. Disabled security systems in specific sections, used stolen codes to access restricted areas, caught the night shift guards by surprise. Now they controlled the entire diplomatic wing and the medical research facility next to it. In the medical wing, 23 people huddled together in the main laboratory. Guards in black armor watched them with weapons ready. Dr. Nia Quinn sat among the hostages, her arm around a young Vrelian intern who was crying quietly. "Stay calm," Nia whispered. "Security will come. They'll get us out." But she didn't sound convinced. She'd seen what happened to the guards who tried to stop these attackers. The Crimson Void wasn't taking prisoners among security, only civilians. Nia thought about Kate, hoped her friend was safe in a shelter somewhere. She thought about her research, all the work they'd done to help people. It seemed so pointless now with weapons pointed at her head. In the station's security center, Commander Zix stared at multiple screens showing the occupied areas. The Vrelian officer's skin had turned pale gray with stress. He'd lost 15 guards already. 15 good people dead in the first 10 minutes. "We can't breach," his tactical officer reported. "They've set up defensive positions at all entry points. They have hostages in clear view. If we try to force entry, civilians will die." Zix's fists clenched. "Have we identified them?" "Thermal signatures suggest Korthian biology. Beyond that, no idea who they are or what they want." "Have we contacted Ambassador Thelrax?" "Yes, sir. He says this isn't his concern. Says we should solve our own problems." Zix wanted to put his fist through the screen. Instead, he took a deep breath and thought. They needed help. They needed someone who could get in quietly, take out the hostiles without endangering the civilians. They needed special forces, but the station didn't have special forces. The Galactic Council had decided years ago that heavily armed military units made diplomatic stations feel unsafe. So Viridian had regular security only, guards trained for peacekeeping, not combat operations. Zix was staring at the screens, trying to find any weakness in the terrorists' positions. When his private comm channel activated, Commander Zix. The voice was human, male, calm. "Who is this?" "This is a secure channel. This is Captain Ryan Blake, service number 7734 Hunter, Terra Defense Initiative Special Operations Division. I'm going to retrieve the hostages from the medical wing. Keep your people clear of that area." Zix blinked. "What? Who are you?" "Check your database. My credentials are in there under classified files." With shaking hands, Zix accessed the classified section of station personnel files. He entered the service number. A file appeared, marked with more security warnings than he'd ever seen. He overrode them with his commander access. The file opened. Zix read quickly, his eyes growing wider with each line. Ryan Blake, Captain, TDI Black Ops Division, 17 confirmed operations, 43 confirmed hostile eliminations, specialized in close quarters combat, infiltration, hostage rescue, decorated 5 times for actions under fire, retired 7 years ago, current cover civilian logistics coordinator. "This can't be real," Zix muttered. "It's real," Ryan's voice said through the comm. "I've been stationed on Viridian for 3 years as part of humanity's quiet security arrangement with the Council. There are 6 of us scattered throughout the station. Tonight I'm activating, but you're just a logistics coordinator. I've seen you. You're so normal. That's the point of undercover, Commander." Ryan's voice held a hint of dry humor. "Now please keep your forces back. I don't want them getting hurt because they don't recognize me." "Wait," Zix said. "You're going in alone? Against 12 armed hostiles?" "Yes, that's suicide." "No, Commander. That's what I was trained for. Just stay back and be ready to secure the area once I'm done." The comm went silent. Zix stared at his screens. He pulled up interior cameras near the Blake family quarters. He saw nothing unusual. Then, checking the maintenance corridor cameras, he saw movement. A figure in dark clothing moving through the tunnels with practiced ease. The figure carried something on his back. Something long and thin. Zix zoomed in as much as the camera allowed. He could just make out what looked like a sword handle. "A sword?" Zix said aloud. "He's going after armed terrorists with a sword?" His tactical officer looked over. "Sir?" "Nothing," Zix said quickly. "Just keep monitoring and be ready for anything." Ryan moved through the maintenance tunnels like a shadow. He knew every inch of these passages, had memorized them within his first week on the station just in case. Part of his training. Always know the ways in and out. He wore light armor under his clothes, nothing heavy. Heavy armor slowed you down and speed was everything in close combat. On his back was the sword case and inside the case was the blade he'd hoped never to draw again. But Kate's friend was in danger. Innocent people were hostages. And he'd taken an oath years ago to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. That oath didn't end just because he'd retired. Ryan reached a ventilation shaft above the medical wing. He opened it silently and looked down through the grating. He could see the main laboratory below. The hostages sat in the center, surrounded by guards. 12 terrorists, just as the security reports had said. Ryan studied their positions. Their weapons. Their body language. His mind processed it all automatically. Years of training taking over. He saw the patterns, the weaknesses, the timing. He could do this. It would be messy and dangerous, but possible. Ryan unsealed the case and drew his sword. The blade was 3 feet of folded steel, sharp enough to cut through modern armor. The handle fit his grip perfectly, worn smooth from years of practice. Strange symbols ran along the blade, Japanese characters mixed with numbers, his unit designation and personal code. He activated the sword's power system. A faint hum filled the air as a monomolecular edge formed along the blade, making it sharp enough to slice through almost anything. A subtle energy field shimmered around the steel. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. He thought of Kate safe in a shelter. He thought of her friend Naya down below, terrified. He thought of all the innocent people counting on him. Then he stopped thinking and let his training take over. The logistics coordinator ceased to exist. The gentle husband who cooked pasta and read poetry disappeared. What remained was Captain Ryan Blake, one of humanity's most dangerous weapons. 8 sat in the emergency shelter with hundreds of other people. Children cried. Adults talked in worried whispers. Station security had told them to stay put until the all-clear signal came. That had been 2 hours ago. Her comm device buzzed. A message from the station's emergency system. Medical wing secured. All hostages safe. Situation ongoing in diplomatic wing. Relief flooded through Kate. The medical wing was safe. That meant Naya was probably okay. But her relief was mixed with worry. Where was Ryan? He should have been here by now. She tried calling him. No answer. Kate stood and approached one of the security guards stationed at the shelter entrance. Excuse me, I need to find my husband. He hasn't arrived yet. The guard checked his tablet. Name? Ryan Blake. The guard's eyes widened slightly. He looked at Kate with a new expression. Something like awe mixed with nervousness. Ma'am, your husband is... He's working with Commander Zix right now. He's fine. Working with? He's a logistics coordinator. What could he be doing? The guard clearly didn't know how to answer. I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't give details. But he's safe, and he asked me to tell you to stay here until everything is clear. Kate frowned. Something strange was happening. Ryan was involved somehow, but how, why? In the diplomatic wing, the remaining Crimson Void terrorists had barricaded themselves in the ambassador's conference room. They held 15 hostages, including 2 human diplomats and Ambassador Thelrax himself. The Korthian ambassador had been in his office working late when the attack began. Commander Zix stood outside the secured area with Ryan Blake. The human looked completely calm, like they were discussing lunch plans instead of a hostage situation. They know someone took out their team in the medical wing, Zix explained. They're demanding a shuttle and safe passage off the station, or they start killing hostages. Ryan studied the building layout on a tablet. How many? We think 8 remaining. Maybe 9. And they're in the main conference room? Yes, it's a defensive nightmare. Only 2 entry points, both narrow. Clear fields of fire. Hostages positioned where we can't get a clean shot. Ryan zoomed in on the floor plan. His eyes traced the maintenance shafts, the ventilation system, the power conduits. What's above this room? Storage area. Why? I'm going to need 5 minutes. Can you keep them talking? Zix hesitated. Captain Blake, I've seen what you can do. But this is different. They're expecting an attack now. They're ready. Ryan looked at the Vrelian commander. They're expecting an attack from trained soldiers. They're not expecting me. What's the difference? Soldiers follow rules. I follow results. Ryan handed back the tablet. 5 minutes, Commander. Keep them distracted. He walked away before Zix could argue. The commander watched him go, then activated his comm to the negotiation team. Start talking to them. Anything to keep them engaged. We need 5 minutes. In the conference room, the 8 remaining Crimson Void terrorists were tense. Their leader, a Korthian named Vexral, paced near the windows. He'd lost contact with the medical wing team. That wasn't supposed to happen. They were trained warriors, the best his organization had. The station security couldn't have done this, he muttered to his second-in-command. Something else is happening. Among the hostages, Ambassador Thelrax sat with his hands bound behind his back. The proud warrior looked furious but said nothing. Beside him, a human diplomat named Curtis Harper whispered, Are they really going to let them go? Thelrax shook his head slightly. No, they will try to stop them, and people will die. Above them, in the storage area, Ryan moved silently across the floor. He found the access panel he needed and opened it carefully. Below was a maintenance crawlspace that ran along the ceiling of the conference room. Perfect. He squeezed into the narrow space and crawled forward. Through gaps in the ceiling panels, he could see the room below. He counted the terrorists, 8 confirmed. The hostages were positioned in the center of the room. The terrorists formed a perimeter around them. Ryan analyzed the situation. This would be harder than the medical wing. They were ready now, alert. And the hostages were in worse positions, but harder didn't mean impossible. He settled into position directly above the center of the room and drew his sword. He activated the blade and took 3 slow breaths, centering himself. Below, he could hear the lead terrorist talking. We've waited long enough, Vexral was saying. Tell the station we start killing hostages in 2 minutes if we don't have our shuttle. Ryan didn't wait for Commander Zix's response. He punched down through the ceiling panel with his sword, creating an opening. Then he dropped through. He landed in the exact center of the hostages, the one place the terrorists couldn't shoot without hitting their prisoners. Before anyone could react, Ryan was moving. His sword took out the two nearest terrorists in one flowing motion. The hostages screamed and scattered as Ryan had planned, moving away from the center. This broke up the terrorists' sight lines, forcing them to reposition. Ryan used the chaos. He moved with impossible speed, the sword an extension of his body. A terrorist tried to shoot. Ryan deflected the energy bolt with his blade and closed the distance. The terrorist fell. Vexrol realized what was happening and roared orders to his remaining fighters. Forget the hostages. Kill the human! But giving up the hostage advantage was a mistake. Now the terrorists had to focus on Ryan directly, and that was a fight they couldn't win. He was too fast, too skilled, too precise. Ryan's training had included every form of combat known to humanity. Ancient sword techniques from Japan, China, and Europe, mixed with modern tactical movement. He could read body language and predict attacks before they happened. His enhanced reflexes, sharpened by years of practice, let him move between bullets. Another terrorist down. Then another. Ambassador Thelrax, still bound, watched with his eyes wide. He'd spent decades as a warrior, fought in countless battles. But he'd never seen anything like this. The human moved like death itself, unstoppable and precise. Vexrol, the leader, saw his fighters falling and made a desperate choice. He grabbed the nearest hostage, a young human diplomat, and put a weapon to her head. Stop or she dies. Ryan froze instantly, his sword held at mid-guard. His eyes locked on Vexrol. Drop the blade, Vexrol ordered. 3 other terrorists remained, their weapons trained on Ryan. Ryan's expression didn't change. Let her go. Drop the blade first. The young diplomat whimpered in fear. Tears ran down her face. Ryan could see her name tag, Linda Carter, Junior Diplomatic Attaché. Ryan slowly lowered his sword, appearing to comply. Vexrol smiled behind his mask. Finally, some sense. Now kick it away. Ryan's eyes shifted fractionally, looking past Vexrol to the window behind him. The terrorist didn't notice. He was too focused on his victory. Okay, Ryan said quietly. Then, with no warning, he threw the sword. The blade spun through the air and embedded itself in the window behind Vexrol with tremendous force. The reinforced glass cracked but didn't break completely. Vexrol flinched at the sound, his weapon shifting away from Linda's head for just a fraction of a second. That was all Ryan needed. He crossed the distance in 2 steps, grabbed Vexrol's weapon hand, and twisted. Bone snapped. The terrorist screamed. Ryan pulled Linda away and shoved her toward the door in one smooth motion. The other 3 terrorists opened fire. Ryan used Vexrol's armored body as a shield, then threw the wounded leader at one of the shooters. Both went down in a tangle. Ryan was already moving toward his sword. Energy bolts flashed around him. One came close enough to singe his jacket. He reached the window, yanked his blade free, and spun in one motion. 2 more terrorists fell before they could adjust their aim. The last one tried to run for the door but didn't make it 3 steps. Silence fell over the conference room. Ryan stood among the bodies, breathing hard now. That had been closer than the medical wing fight, more dangerous, but it was over. He deactivated his sword and immediately began cutting the hostages' bonds. Everyone okay? Anyone hurt? Most of the hostages just stared at him in shock. Linda Carter, the young diplomat he'd saved, was shaking but unharmed. The other humans looked at Ryan like they'd never seen him before. Ambassador Thelrax stood slowly as Ryan cut his bonds. The Korthian studied the human with an unreadable expression. You are a logistics coordinator? Thelrax asked. Ryan shrugged slightly. It's a job. What are you really? A husband who wants to go home to his wife. Station security burst into the room, weapons ready. They stopped short at the scene, hostages alive, terrorists down, and Ryan Blake standing calmly in the center of it all. Commander Zix entered behind his security team. He looked at Ryan, then at the bodies, then back at Ryan. Blessed ancestors, he muttered. All hostages secure. Ryan reported formally. The diplomatic wing is clear. We can see that. Zix shook his head in disbelief. Are you injured? No, sir. Sir? I'm not your commanding officer. Ryan smiled slightly. Sorry, old habits, the hostages were escorted out. Medical teams arrived to check everyone. Security began processing the scene and removing bodies. Through it all, Ryan stood quietly to the side, looking like he wanted to disappear. Ambassador Thelrax approached him. The Corthian stood silent for a moment, then spoke. "I owe you my life, human. Just doing what needed to be done, Ambassador." "No." Thelrax's voice was firm. "What I saw tonight, I have fought warriors." Kate sat on their couch, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea that had gone cold an hour ago. Ryan sat across from her in his reading chair, the sword laid carefully on the table between them. The apartment was quiet except for the faint hum of the station's systems. She had so many questions that she didn't know where to start. So she just stared at her husband, this man she thought she knew completely. Ryan broke the silence first. "I'm sorry you found out this way. I never wanted you to see that side of me." "What side?" Kate's voice came out hoarse. "The side that kills people? The side that moves so fast he's practically invisible? The side that apparently isn't really a logistics coordinator?" "I am a logistics coordinator," Ryan said gently. "That part wasn't a lie. I've been doing that job for 3 years and I'm good at it. But it's not what you are." "No." Ryan looked down at his hands. "I was military. Special forces. The kind they don't talk about in public." Kate set down her tea. "How long?" 12 years active service. I retired 7 years ago." "You've been lying to me for our entire relationship." Ryan flinched. "Not lying, just not telling you everything. There's a difference. Is there?" Kate felt tears building but fought them back. "I married you thinking you were one person. Now I find out you're someone completely different. You're a soldier, a killer." "I was a soldier," Ryan corrected quietly. "Past tense. I left that life behind. Did you? 'Cause tonight you picked up that sword pretty easily." Ryan had no answer for that. Kate was right, and they both knew it. She stood and paced to the window, looking out at the station. "Tell me everything. From the beginning." "I deserve that much," Ryan nodded. "You do." He took a deep breath. "It started when I was 20. I joined Earth's military during the contact wars. Do you know about those?" "A little." "That was when humanity first met aggressive alien species, right?" "Right. The Corthians, the Vrelians, others. They didn't think much of us. Humans were new to space, weak, primitive. They thought they could push us around." Ryan's voice grew distant with memory. "They learned differently." Kate turned to face him. "What happened?" "We fought back, and we were good at it. Really good. Humans had spent thousands of years perfecting warfare on Earth. We'd survived everything our planet could throw at us. Predators, diseases, other humans. Fighting wasn't new to us. It was in our blood." Ryan stood and moved to stand beside Kate at the window. "The Terra Defense Initiative created special units. Black Ops. We trained in every combat style humanity had ever developed. Ancient weapons and modern tactics. We learned to move in zero gravity and on any planetary surface. We became very, very dangerous." "How dangerous?" Ryan was quiet for a moment. "I participated in 17 major operations, each one against enemy forces that outnumbered us significantly. We never failed a mission. Not once." Kate tried to process this. Her gentle husband, who got upset when he accidentally stepped on a bug, had fought in 17 battles. "I specialized in hostage rescue and infiltration," Ryan continued. "Going into impossible situations and bringing people out alive. I was good at it. Too good, maybe." He touched the window glass. "Then the wars ended. The aliens agreed to peace treaties with humanity. The Galactic Council offered us full membership. That's good, right? It came with conditions. The Council was terrified of us. They'd seen what humans could do when threatened. So they made us agree to disband the Black Ops units, to demilitarize our special forces, to become peaceful members of the galactic community." Kate understood now. "So you retired, we all did. The entire Black Ops division. But we made a deal with the Council, unofficial, not on any records. We'd retire and take civilian jobs. But we'd scatter throughout the galaxy, staying ready, just in case." "In case of what?" "In case something like tonight happened." Ryan turned to face her. "There are 6 of us on this station, Kate, all with different cover jobs. We live normal lives, marry, make friends. But we're here as a failsafe. Hidden protection that no one knows about." Kate felt her world tilting. "Who else? Do I know them?" "I can't tell you that. For their safety and yours. My safety?" Kate's voice rose. I'm married to a secret soldier. How does not knowing keep me safe? Ryan moved toward her but stopped when she held up a hand. If you don't know who they are, you can't accidentally reveal them. And people can't use you to get to them. This is insane. Kate sat back down, her legs feeling weak. I've been living with a stranger. No. Ryan knelt in front of her, his eyes intense. Kate, everything between us is real. My feelings for you, our life together. The man you see every day, that's all me. The real me. How can I believe that? You've been hiding this huge part of yourself. Because the warrior part is what I was, not who I am. Ryan took her hands gently. I met you 3 years ago at that medical conference, remember? You were giving a presentation on cross-species cellular biology. I was just there because my cover job required attending station events. Kate remembered. She'd been nervous about public speaking. Ryan had asked a question afterward. A really good one that showed he'd been paying attention. They'd talked for 2 hours. I fell in love with you that day, Ryan said softly. Not as Captain Blake. As Ryan, a man who was tired of violence and wanted something real. Something peaceful. You gave me that, but you kept secrets. I did. And I'm sorrier than you know. But Kate, if I'd told you, you would have been in danger. The Council has enemies who would love to know about retired Black Ops soldiers. I kept quiet to protect you. Kate wanted to stay angry, but she could see the pain in Ryan's eyes. He wasn't a monster. He was just a man who'd lived through things she couldn't imagine. Tell me about the sword, she said finally. Why a sword? Why not guns? Ryan almost smiled. Guns are limited by ammunition. They're loud. They have mechanical parts that can fail. A good blade never runs out, never jams, and in skilled hands is just as deadly. He glanced at the weapon on the table. That sword has been with me for 10 years. It saved my life more times than I can count, and is it special somehow? The blade is layered steel, folded thousands of times using traditional Japanese techniques. But it has modern enhancements. The edge can become monomolecular, sharp enough to cut through almost anything. There's an energy field generator in the handle, and the weight distribution is perfect for my fighting style. Kate studied the sword. It looked beautiful in a deadly sort of way. What's written on it? My unit designation and personal code. And a phrase in Japanese, peace through strength, our unit motto. They sat in silence for a while. Kate tried to reconcile the two versions of Ryan in her mind, the gentle reader of poetry and the deadly warrior. Somehow they had to be the same person. What happens now? She asked finally. Ryan sighed. Tomorrow I meet with Commander Zix. He knows the truth now. The station knows humans aren't what they seemed. There will be consequences. What kind? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe the Council asks us all to leave. Maybe they want us to train their security forces. Maybe they just want answers. He squeezed her hands. But whatever happens, I want you to know I love you. That was never fake, never part of any mission. You're the best thing in my life. Kate looked into his eyes. She saw the truth there. Whatever else Ryan was, he did love her. I need time, she said, to process this, to figure out what it means. Ryan nodded and stood. I understand. I'll sleep on the couch tonight. No. Kate stood too. Stay, just hold me. I don't want to be alone. They went to bed without talking more. Ryan wrapped his arms around Kate, and she let herself relax against him. His heartbeat was steady and calm. The same heartbeat she'd fallen asleep listening to for 2 years. He was still Ryan, still her husband, just more complicated than she'd known. The next morning, Kate woke to find Ryan already gone. He'd left a note on the kitchen counter. Meeting with Zix back by lunch. Love you? Kate made coffee and sat staring at nothing. Her comm device buzzed, Nia Quinn calling. Kate, thank the stars you're okay. Are you at home? Yeah, are you all right? I'm fine. Shaken up but fine. Nia's voice was excited and nervous. Kate, your husband. What he did? I can't even describe it. He saved all of us. Moved like something from an action video. Who is he? It's complicated. Everyone's talking about it. The station is buzzing with rumors. Some people are saying there are more humans like him. Hidden soldiers or something. Kate closed her eyes. Nia, I can't talk about this right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. This must be so weird for you. Nia paused. Do you want company? I can come over. No, I need to think. But thank you. After ending the call, Kate showered and dressed. She didn't go to her lab. Instead, she walked through the station aimlessly. Everywhere she went, people whispered. They stared at her. The human woman married to the warrior who'd saved the station. She overheard conversations, aliens expressing shock that humans could be so dangerous, others saying they'd always suspected humans were hiding something, a few expressing fear about what else humanity might be concealing. Kate found herself in the station's observation deck, staring out at space. A Vrelian scientist she knew slightly approached her. "Dr. Morrison, may I speak with you?" Kate nodded. The Vrelian looked uncomfortable. "I wanted to say, your husband saved my nephew. He was one of the hostages. I just wanted you to know we're—" 6 months had passed since the night everything changed. Viridian Station had returned to its normal rhythm, but nothing was quite the same. The diplomatic wing had been repaired. New security measures were in place, and everyone knew that humans were more than they appeared. Ryan Blake walked through the station corridors on his way home from work. People still stared sometimes, but not as much as before. The novelty had worn off. He was just Ryan again. Mostly. A young Vrelian security guard nodded respectfully as Ryan passed. "Good evening, Captain Blake." "Just Ryan is fine," he said with a smile. "And I'm not a captain anymore." "Once a captain, always a captain, sir." Ryan chuckled and continued walking. Some things never changed. His job had evolved over the past months. He still worked in logistics, but now he also consulted with station security. Training exercises. Tactical planning. Nothing heavy. Nothing that pulled him back into full military life. Just enough to use his experience to keep people safer. It had been Commander Zix's idea, approved by the Galactic Council after weeks of debate. The Council had been angry at first, learning about the hidden human operatives. They'd felt deceived, but eventually they'd seen the practical value. Humanity agreed to be more transparent. The 6 retired soldiers on Viridian Station were officially acknowledged. They kept their civilian jobs but could be called upon in emergencies. In exchange, they'd train mixed-species security teams in advanced tactics. It was a compromise that worked for everyone. Ryan reached his apartment and palmed the door lock. Inside, he heard music playing, something classical from Earth. Kate was home early. He found her in the kitchen chopping vegetables. She looked up and smiled when he entered. That smile had taken time to return fully, but it was genuine now. "Hey," she said. "How was your day?" "Long." Ryan kissed her cheek and grabbed a cutting board to help with dinner. Spent 3 hours teaching Vrelian guards how to clear rooms properly. "They keep bunching up in doorways. Sounds frustrating. It's a learning process. They'll get it." Ryan started slicing peppers. "How about you? Any breakthroughs in the lab?" Kate launched into an explanation of her latest research. Something about Zentari cellular structures and immune responses. Ryan listened, asking occasional questions. This was their routine now. Comfortable and familiar. They'd worked through the hurt and confusion together. Kate had asked 1,000 questions about Ryan's past, and he'd answered honestly. She'd needed time to process it all, to understand who her husband really was. Slowly, they'd rebuilt trust, not the old trust based on partial truth, but something deeper. Kate knew all of Ryan now, the warrior and the poet, the killer and the kind man. She'd learned they weren't separate people, but different facets of the same complicated human. "Oh, I almost forgot," Kate said as they sat down to eat. "Naya invited us to dinner this weekend. She's finally dating that Zentari engineer she's been talking about for months." "That's great. I'm happy for her." Kate twirled pasta on her fork. "She wants to introduce him to us. I think she's nervous." "Why would she be nervous?" "Because you're you." Kate smiled slightly. "You saved her life, remember? She sees you as this legendary figure now." Ryan groaned. "I hate that. I'm just a guy who knows how to fight. You're more than that, and you know it." Kate reached across the table to squeeze his hand. "But I get it. You don't like being seen as a warrior. I don't mind being known as capable. I just don't want people to fear me." Ryan met her eyes. "Especially not people we care about. Naya doesn't fear you. She's grateful. There's a difference." They finished dinner and cleaned up together. Afterward, they settled on the couch to watch a documentary about Earth's forests. Kate curled against Ryan's side, his arm around her shoulders. During a commercial break, Kate said, "I talked to my mom today." Ryan tensed slightly. Kate's family had learned the truth about him, and the conversations had been difficult. Her father especially had been skeptical about Ryan keeping such enormous secrets. How'd that go? Better. She asked if we're doing okay. I told her we are. Kate looked up at him. Are we? Okay, I mean. Ryan considered the question seriously. I think so. We're different than before, but maybe that's good. More honest. I like the honesty, Kate agreed. Even when the truth is complicated. Especially when it's complicated. Later that week, Ryan had an unusual meeting scheduled. Ambassador Thelrax had requested time to speak with him privately. Ryan arrived at the Corthian's office, curious about the purpose. Thelrax greeted him warmly, a stark change from their first interactions. The ambassador gestured to a seat and poured 2 glasses of a Corthian beverage. Thank you for coming, Ryan Blake. Of course, Ambassador. What can I do for you? Thelrax settled into his chair, his reptilian features thoughtful. I wanted to discuss something that has been on my mind since the attack. A realization I've had about strength and wisdom. Ryan sipped his drink and waited. My people value warriors above all else. Thelrax continued. We measure worth by combat prowess and battle honors. For centuries we have believed this made us superior to species like humanity, who appeared peaceful and soft. I remember, Ryan said dryly. I was wrong, profoundly wrong. The ambassador leaned forward. I thought your people weak because I saw gentleness. I mistook your choice for inability. But that night when you fought, I understood. True strength isn't just the capacity for violence. It's knowing when to use it and when to hold back. Ryan nodded slowly. That's something humans learned the hard way. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times with our capacity for war. We had to learn restraint, and you did. That's remarkable. Thelrax paused. I've been speaking with my government. We would like to establish a training exchange. Corthian warriors learning from human tactical philosophy, and humans learning our honor codes and combat traditions. That's a significant proposal. It is, and it must start with understanding, which is why I'm asking you, would you train with me? Not as student and teacher, but as equals learning from each other? Ryan was surprised. You want to train together? I do. I have much to learn from your approach, and perhaps you can benefit from Corthian techniques. Thelrax's expression was earnest. Also, I would consider it an honor to call you friend if you would permit it. Ryan felt something warm in his chest. 6 months ago, this proud warrior had mocked humanity. Now he offered friendship. People could change. Understanding could grow. I'd be honored, Ambassador. They shook hands in the human way, then clasped forearms in the Corthian tradition. It felt like a bridge being built between their species. That weekend, Kate and Ryan attended dinner with Naya Quinn and her new boyfriend, Marcus Cole. The Centauri engineer was quiet and polite, clearly nervous about meeting Ryan. It's good to meet you, Marcus said, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into English. Dr. Quinn speaks highly of you both. She speaks highly of you too, Kate said warmly. She says you're brilliant with engine systems. Marcus's skin flushed slightly, the Centauri equivalent of a blush. I enjoy my work. Dinner was pleasant. They talked about normal things, work, hobbies, station gossip. Ryan made sure to be especially casual and friendly, trying to put Marcus at ease. Toward the end of the evening, Naya pulled Kate aside to help in the kitchen. The 2 women stood by the sink, supposedly getting dessert ready. So, Naya asked quietly, how are you really doing? With everything? Kate looked through the doorway at Ryan, who was telling Marcus some funny story about a shipping container mishap. He looked relaxed and happy. We're good, Kate said. Really good, actually. It was hard at first knowing he'd kept secrets, but we worked through it. He seems like the same guy. You know, just more, Kate laughed. That's exactly what he is. More complicated than I knew, but still Ryan. Do you ever worry? About the danger? Sometimes. But he's retired from active duty. He just consults now, and honestly, knowing he can protect himself and others, that's comforting in a weird way. Naya hugged her friend. I'm glad you two are okay. You're good together. They brought out dessert, a cake Naya had attempted to bake with mixed success. Everyone ate it anyway, making jokes about the slightly burned edges. As Ryan and Kate walked home later, she took his hand. That was nice. It was. Marcus seems good for Naya. Everyone deserves someone good, Kate said. She stopped walking and turned to face Ryan. I'm glad I have you. All of you complications and secrets and sword skills included. Ryan pulled her close. I'm glad I have you too. You make me want to be better than I was. You are better. You're exactly who you should be. They kissed under the artificial stars of the station's ceiling. Just another couple in love among thousands of residents from hundreds of worlds. The months continued to pass. Ryan's training sessions with Ambassador Thelrax became regular events. Word spread, and soon other species wanted to join. A mixed martial arts club formed, bringing together humans, Korthians, Vrelians, and others. They learned from each other, building understanding through shared discipline. Kate's research continued to break new ground. She published a paper on cross-species medicine that won recognition from the Galactic Medical Council. Ryan was intensely proud of her accomplishments. Life settled into a new normal. Ryan was no longer just a logistics coordinator in people's eyes, but he wasn't purely a warrior either. He was,